of Jenny. You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn. And if you're still following Mel and I, you're a trooper and a realist. And I say this because by now you should know that the story we are sharing with you is nothing fictional. I said to a friend at work this week, she told me that this was intriguing, and I said, when people use that word, it almost sounds like it could be contrived or Mel and I have overactive imaginations. But I'm here to tell you, everything that we are sharing, we are living. It's not just me, because the day that Mel started helping me, it started happening to her as well, because she's the one who has to fight it. I don't have the skills to fight it on this level, although I do my best. So, Mel, welcome.
Thank you for having me back.
And she is a champ because the things that she does, I know that she's mostly angel and then maybe 20% human. Anyway, this week I wanted to start off with two things. And in case you watch this show and you are wondering why the story I'm sharing with you is pertinent, hang in there because I will tell you. When I first broke up with Arjen Bouwman, that Mel calls Dutchman, he always knew what was happening in my personal life. Every time I met someone after we had broken up, I would get a phone call from him describing with accuracy the person that I was seeing in detail. And I would tell my friends, he called and he said this and this about the person. And they go, Jenny, he has a tracker on you. So we thought perhaps he had a PI or somebody following me because he always knew. And approximately 10 months after we had broken up, I met someone that I started going out with because I really enjoyed him. And one day at my job, Arjen Bouwman shows up. He's supposed to be in Holland. He flew to San Francisco, came to my work, and he started accosting me in my workplace. And that really bothered me because I'm at work and I have some ex-boyfriend showing up creating a scene. So I said, I'm at work. This is not okay. So I asked my coworkers if they would mind if I stepped outside to talk to him. And once we got outside, he started chucking me and the reptilian came out. Although then I didn't know that's what I was dealing with. He just looked different. He looked almost like an animal and scared me. And while I was trying to defend myself, and now I look back and I was so naive, I don't know why I had to defend myself, but while I was trying to calm him down, the police showed up. Yes, the police showed up. And they said to me, ma'am, is this man hurting you? We got a call that he's hurting you. I cannot make this up. And so currently in California, there's a police record of this man coming and physically abusing me. But because I was such a nice person, I defended him. Well, I lied to the police so that he wouldn't get stuck in California and not be able to go home to Holland. So I lied, regretfully. And so I'm putting this story out here so that this Dutchman that Mel has overheard in the ethers, and I was told by my guides, is planning to kill us. I am sharing this story to remind him, in case he has forgotten, if he thinks that he could kill either one of us, there's already a record in the police station about him abusing me, and I've been putting this out on the World Wide Web. So don't be an ass, Dutchman, because if anything happens to either of us, you better believe they're going to be coming after you first and Sandra T and her clan because they've all been harassing us. And while I'm on the subject, Sandra T, you need to inform your scavengers that I have installed cameras several portions of the front of this building. And if they're ever seen near my trash again, the police will have their pictures because I have taken a picture of each of them. So please consider this a warning, and all of you stay away from Mel and I. You have no power over either one of us because we are physically protected in the physical realm, and you better believe entire heaven is protecting us in the spiritual realm. Mel, that's what I wanted to say today. I'm going to hand this over to you now.
Okay, well, where do I begin after this? I don't know. Well, for one, I want to correct real quick that you mentioned earlier that I've been experiencing, I have been experiencing what you have been experiencing. And in order to make sure that your audience correctly understands this, I am not being, I don't get hurt. Okay, they cannot touch me in that sense. In a way like they do you. Okay, I don't experience the pain or the attacks that you do. However, I will begin there maybe because we have discovered over the past week in particular that Dutchman has found some very inventive ways to circumvent certain things or blocks in his way to get to me. Okay, and here's the thing. He's really not getting to me in the sense that he's getting to you, because he just can't. All right. But, and I honestly think that my spirit team has allowed some of this to actually happen so that I can trace it back. And I will explain what I mean by that. When there is magic put upon someone, magic of any kind, there are magical threads. Okay. That's what I call them. And basically, for me, when I tune in, I see those magical threats. Okay, they're not invisible to me, so I can see where not only that there are magical threats, that there is magic involved, but I also can trace them to their origin. Okay, which is what I've been doing in your case. Rather aggressively, especially this past week and before, to try to track down not only where the attacks are coming from, but how they're connected. And one of the things that I wanted to speak of is when I said that he's been very much, he has a lot of ideas, is that normally the attacks or the magic would be given from, him to the person to you directly, right? Or from him to me directly. Well, he cannot go from himself to me directly. There's a block there. So what he has done, he has started to route his magic, the magical threads, through other people. Okay?
Don't say their names.
No.
Okay, right. Thank you.
No, that's fine. And so let's just say the other people that okay, those are people that and he's sort of, it's almost as if you are trying to detract from, or trying to distract me, and almost thinking that I don't know where it's coming from because I am tracing it and it always leads back to him. Okay. It's really, really strange. And it's actually been kind of funny, to be honest with you. And there's nothing funny about the situation. So I don't want to, give your audience the wrong idea. But when I see a magical thread go through 1, 2, 3 people, okay, and then to him, it's kind of fun for me to sort of rip those threads, not only trace it, but rip them out and just rip them apart. And I know that he knows that I've been doing that. And every time I've been doing that, he's rerouted it to somebody else. It's almost like a game. If you can imagine, it's playing like a game. I'm playing with like a young child of some sort. Like, a game that I know how to play already, a game that I wasn't supposed to know how to play. But yeah, so that's been the newest thing. And I just want him to know that no matter what magic he weaves, I find it because I can trace the magical weaves, the magical threads. Okay, it's what I call them. And that is why we have been, on this kind of back and forth. Now, the one thing that I will say is that your audience is probably thinking, well, is he going to be able to do this forever? Right? Is he going to be able to do this forever?
Mel, can I interrupt you for one quick second?
Yeah.
I wanted to explain to you guys when I said Mel was experiencing my pain, what I meant was sometimes when she goes in to clear me. So I wanted to clarify that.
Of course, yeah.
That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah.
Right. No problem. So yes, so lost my train of thought.
So sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm trying to pick up. If I pick up on something else now, it's okay. We'll get back to what I was saying. But yes, yes, your audience is probably thinking, why are we still doing this? Why are we still? And I think you wanted me to, go over again why it's taking so long, right?
Yes.
And here's what we discovered, the real reason for it. I mean, there are many reasons for this, and I actually talked about this with the due process in the other segments. So if you haven't seen it or understand it, please go back and watch these, right? But what actually is happening is that my work is sort of being held back to a certain extent. And when I mean held back, I mean that I am not made aware of every single thing. He's allowed to do certain things right now. And this, you and I have talked about this, and we were, of course, initially a little bit stunned. Why is he allowed to do this? Well, part of the reason is there are still magical, and I wouldn't say, threads or a magic or ritualistic parts of your case that we have not fully uncovered and resolved. Okay. And most of those go back, way back. We're talking about those who have been done 19, 18 years ago, wherever. Okay. We're talking a long time ago. Yes. Because new ones have all sort of been taken away, but it's the old ones. And the nuisance and the problems that you've been having that have been there from the beginning. They're the ones, okay, that continue. And we sort of are having, I don't want to say a hard time with it, but for some reason, we're not getting to the exact answers right now. And the reason for that is that if he was to be completely taken out of commission, and when I say out of commission, I mean that he can no longer actually do magic, that he's this, that he can't do anything. Then the likelihood of me discovering those loose ends is harder. Okay, so he is allowed to continue so that I can discover that. And I'm sure that there's other reasons for that. See, the divine doesn't tell me everything. There's a reason for everything. And you and I have talked about this. So the main reason why this is still going on is so that we can wrap up all the loose ends. And I say loose ends is because he has lost an immense amount of power. He knows it, you know it, and I know it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we know this because the magic that he does often is, how can I say? It is so weak. Okay. One thing I will say though about him. Okay. And I have always said this, he's a master at his arts. Okay. He always was. And it's not that he doesn't know. It's that he is no longer able to do it, that his magic holds no power. And maybe I want to get into this a little bit today because your audience might think, well, why not, right? Why? How can somebody lose his power? How is that possible? Well, as I've mentioned before, I do work with the divine, and I do certain binding rituals, among other things. But he is not just your everyday witch. Okay, we're not talking your everyday witch that that does a love spell. Okay, he is the best description for him is a magi. Okay, that's what they want to call him, a magi. Magi are ancient, who are very, very versed in the arts of dark magic, mostly. Okay, and he also has this half reptilian thing going for him.
Right, exactly.
Which enhances it. Okay, there's probably some sort of natural affiliation, with that comes with that. Okay.
Yeah, because
So,
it's animalistic.
correct.
It's like an animal. It's not human. And I saw it, except I did not know there was
Yes.
such a thing as a human half animal. And I actually dated one. And every time I think about it, I cringe. And this, ladies, you gotta be careful with some of these gentlemen that you're meeting. His eyes did change when he got angry. And there were times when I got a whiff of the scent. But, ooh, are you coughing?
No. Did you
Well, I
just?
don't hear it. Someone is coughing. I can't make it up. It will be here on the tape. Well, he's clearly listening and he doesn't like that I said he stunk, but he did. And now that I get visited by reptilians, I can link the scent. Now I know he did turn into that. So when you hear about human shapeshifting, I experienced it with him, except I didn't know. I just thought this is how he got when he was angry. So, anyway, Mel, before you continue, are you allowed to share what happened when he showed up at your house that night with his? Are you allowed to share that?
Let me check with my spirit team. Apparently so. They're actually telling me go for it. So that's
Okay, so if you're so inclined, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but
that's
I think
fine.
it's a very compelling
Yes,
story and it's
absolutely.
nice to share it.
Absolutely. So this is in the ethereal now. Okay. So one evening, or one night rather, I was in bed, and what I have around my, where I live, I have this barrier, this really strong energetic barrier, this protective barrier. Okay. And it's there for a reason. Okay. And I know it can withstand a lot of stuff. So nobody can enter. Okay. It's like they just can't. So I'm in bed, and the next thing I know is I'm aware of that somebody is at the barrier. Okay, outside, right outside the window of my bedroom. Okay, that area right there. And I thought to myself, well, who's that? Okay, I could sense it. So as soon as I do remote view, and I go, I do this in my mind's eye. I go, and I go out there, and who do I find? For the first time since I started working with you, Dutchman, standing there, a bunch of reptilian friends. And I thought, oh, look who's here. That was my reaction. But I, of course, was behind the line, and he was there. And you could tell that he was quite arrogant. Okay. And I told you this the next day. I couldn't believe his arrogance. Now, the one thing that I will say is I don't even know why he came in the first place, probably because to show off and to show his strength, and to show that he knew where I was. And by the way, that doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't
That
bother.
he had an army and that he had his reptilian army.
Correct. But what he doesn't know is I actually sort of told him, if I remember correctly, I thought, I didn't think you were going to do this sooner, because I expected him to do that. Okay. These people have a very, very, a way of doing that. You don't need to know somebody's address in order to energetically go to them. Okay. This is what we do in remote viewing. This is what we do. We go to a location without even knowing where it's at. Right. Well, anyway, he showed up. And here's the thing. Here's what I will say. I told you that I had these protectors. The one protector all of a sudden stepped in front of me. And it was actually quite funny because he started to be very arrogant. Or you think that he's going to be able to protect you like this, you know? And I thought, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea who you're dealing with. That this one could probably rip you to shreds even if you wanted to. You know, I'm thinking to myself, and then you know, as he says this, another one pops up, another one, a protector, you know, and also stands there, and he was still arrogant, still was like, you know, because he probably thought all these reptilian buddies of his were going to, you know, be perfectly, you know, strong enough to take down these two. And I knew one of them could take them all out because I know what they are. These are energies that are trained in this. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to reveal who they are, okay? But he knows, sort of. Well, at least I think he does. Then a third one popped up next to me. And he still was like, oh, so you have them all, you know. He still tried to. It's almost like this male get, you know, from someone who just doesn't want to back down. And I wasn't even saying anything at the moment, you know. I was just like, okay. But here's what happened. Somebody, a fourth individual energy, popped up behind me. And when I say energy, they take form. Okay. And the form is known to him. And I know who popped up behind me. And I was surprised, but as soon as the energy popped up behind me, his eyes went big. All I could tell you is his eyes went big. He took a step back. He didn't say a word, and him and his reptilian friends disappeared. And I thought to myself, I said to the energy behind me, I said, well, boy, you really scared him off, did you? Because all the other ones, even though they could have taken him on their own, were bad enough themselves. But this energy behind me was just freaked him out. Something about the energy freaked him out. And I don't know what this individual, this energy showed him, but it showed him something that made him back off. And I just found it very, very interesting that after all these months working with you, that he finally decides to show up, you know, in close to my space, okay? And then he gets scared away by by my protectors. So I think he truly understood for the first time, he truly understood who it is I'm working with, who has my back, who you know, will step in if needed. You see what I mean? This is the point why they're asking, or why they're allowing me to tell the story here, right? Up until this point, he's just so arrogant that he does not even think or believe that anyone can stop him, which is why I am so intent on making sure that I follow through with your case and you know, disable his abilities, because he's using them for ill will. Like he hurts people. Okay, he does not. He should not be you know, allowed to continue. And these energies are assisting me in doing that, among other things. Okay. And I can tell you, these energies it was not Archangel Michael. Oh, by the way, do you hear the sirens in the background?
Confirmation, people. And I have to tell you, last night, he has found a new skill now where he's been sticking things in my eyes. For the last 3 or 4 weeks, my right eye was very blurry, and it's constantly that way because he knows Mel is now occupied and she cannot clear this until the show is over. Not only were my lenses cloudy, I felt like I had something in my eyelid. And one morning when I was getting ready for work and I looked in the mirror, it almost had like a line going down the top of my lid. And I thought, God, what's wrong with my eye now? I would never have guessed. But my guides told me, tell Mel. I get told to tell Mel everything. And sure enough, when Mel checked, he had packed my eyes with God knows what. Mel can tell you in a minute. And a lot of these things, we're not sharing here because we're speaking to a. Did you hear that?
I don't
Okay,
think
good.
so.
Oh my gosh, yes. Everybody will hear it. It's being recorded. But the kind of things that this guy does, he's clearly not a human because no one with a brain would do these stupid things. And it's all designed to torture and cause me pain and cause me accidents because a lot of it happens when I'm driving. But Mel successfully removed it, and when she does, I know because immediately my vision returns to what it. I've been told I have 20/20 vision, but the feeling of having something in your eyelid, it's very uncomfortable, and you keep blinking, blinking, and I keep doing this, because I did not know what is wrong with my eye. So while Mel was clearing me, she texts me. She goes, "You will not believe what I just saw." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "I saw an ear floating." Sorry, guys. We thank God he's such a child that half of the things he does to try to either hurt me or spy on me has become very amusing for us. And so here's Mel telling me she sees. She has taken down everything he has implanted to monitor us. I had to get my phone clean because he'd hacked my phone. And this week, Mel was given notice that my phone had been hacked, and we checked, and sure enough, my phone was hacked. So I had to get on the phone with Apple, and we cleared my phone, and it's secure. So then he became desperate. And Mel can tell you some of the things she's found floating around me. She saw, Mel, you tell them. Because you know what? They should have some laughter out of this too, so that it's not totally intense. And this is why these are the experiences that we have shared this week that I'm choosing to share with them.
Yes. Well, let's get to the ear. Okay. And here's the thing is I want I want your audience to understand is that when I go in and I check, I get images. Okay. I get images of what might be there. And my spirit team works with me so that I understand, okay, that what is happening. So oftentimes I don't know whether or not the image that I'm receiving is actually what's there, or if it's just a representation of what is happening. Now, I often can tell, after checking a little bit longer, which is which. But he he has been desperately trying to listen in and to sort of recover from your phone, being tapped, right? Or you're not tapped, but yeah, from listening and using your phone to keep track of you, right? And what what he does and what I found is, and I got to give the man kudos, honestly, because he has the most I crazy ideas I've ever seen. I literally saw an ear floating, okay, in the air, and that told me that he was literally using the human anatomy, the ear, and sort of connecting it to some sort of spell to then connect to you to listen in. Okay, that's what he does. What he also likes to do, and I didn't know this until you told me, is that he likes to use electronic devices. Right. I had this. I checked in one time, and just a few days ago, and I was this big contraption that I've seen in shows of people who hunt, cryptids, the thing that amplifies sound, so to speak. I recognized that. And I saw that hovering right above, you or somewhere in the ethers right there. And I thought to myself, well, this is odd. This is not supposed to be there. But yes, again, he had connected his magical spells, whatever he's got left, to this electronic device, and somehow uses that to do for him what he wants it to do. And you said that he was actually working in the electronics department, right? At the
Yes, I
he
was waiting for you to stop to share
yeah.
with everyone. I met him when I went to work for Philips, the electronic company, and he worked in the liquid crystal over silicon display department. And he was always messing around with wires, and he's totally into gadgets and things like this. So what Mel is discovering is consistently who this person is. um, when it comes to innovation, he's good. And one thing I want to insert before we finish tonight's video is because I don't like interrupting Mel, but if I don't, sometimes I don't remember. um, this man is not in love with me. For any of you looking at this show thinking, oh my God, he's so in love with her, no, it's no love. It is no love. It's that he made deals with the wrong people using me. Well, I should say the wrong people, his I family, and he made all sorts of deals and promises to them involving me without my permission. And because I naively existed for 20 years oblivious to what the purpose I was serving, that he thought I was a slam dunk. So now that God has connected me to Mel, who is his match and far above, he is freaking out and he doesn't know what to do. And he's coming up with all sorts of flimsy bullshit ideas to try to monitor me, like if Mel wouldn't find it. And as she implied earlier, he's so desperate now, or maybe he always was. The people that are closely connected to me in terms of family, he has been using those people because we have dismantled everything else. And so, Dutch man, we know you watch everything, both you and Sandra Tong. Your desperation is stifling us, and we can't stop coughing. So clearly, you have been dismantled. Why don't you go sit in the corner and reap the seeds of your labor or the fruits of your labor? This is what you built for yourself, using innocent people. And God knows what else you've done with lives that are already gone. And you are living big at the expense of innocent people. And my message for you is I have never resented anyone or despised any decision I've made in my life like I made when I got involved with you. But I still believe I did not get involved with you naturally because I remember sending you away, sending you away. And I also remember you taking a piece of my jewelry and telling me you're bringing it to your aunt, who is also half reptilian, to figure out where you know me from. But it has been revealed to me you took my jewelry and you did what you did so that I would consent to being in a relationship with you. And so, for all the people who practice what you do to, in order to manipulate other people, it doesn't hold when you're doing it with a person who is love and light. And that's where you went wrong when you picked this girl, because I am the one who will take you down for every other innocent woman that you have done this to. I am here to tell you I am the deal breaker because it is done. Once I found out what you were doing, you were finished. Okay, Mel, that's all I have to say, and the rest is for you.
So yeah, I was actually, as you were speaking, I wanted to get back to quickly you mentioning earlier that he wanted to, he has mentioned or threatened to unalive us, right? I when I say this and when I told you this, it comes through the ethers, okay? It comes, I've said this before on here. I am very
Now,
tapped.
please hold that thought. I'm not interrupting you, but I want to insert this. He also said, and my guides have also told me that he said he should have killed me when he had the chance.
Yes.
So I just want you guys to know I'm not just sitting here blowing hot air. Several times, Mel heard what she heard, which she will tell you, and my guides have told me he is planning to unalive me.
Yes. And that, so going back to that, I listen through the ethers. Okay. So for instance, I hear this stuff when I work with dismantling the energy and the magic that he does, because the magic directly connects to him. So I tap into his energy, into his work, and therefore I hear. It's just a thing of mine. I can't explain it, but I hear, and I've heard him through the ethers. I've heard him say, "You will pay for this." For what you have done. Those are the words. You will pay for what you have done. Those are the exact words. And he said the other word. I will, the sort
Oh,
of threatened the left. Correct. Yeah. And I think this kind of attitude of his came more and more with us really messing up his stuff, right? It's because he's, yes. So when we initially started taking his stuff down, we didn't get that. Okay. I didn't get that. But the more and more we were messing with his stuff, and we were taking and dismantling his magic and doing things to him, the more he became angry. I mean, he is a very angry man. I'm not even saying angry. This is not the right word. There's rage. Okay.
unhinged.
Correct. And I have seen him, and I've said this before. Again, I see through the ethers as well. I have seen him, his eyes change reptilian. I've seen his eye roll back into his head. I've actually, and I'm going to say this here too. Okay. They're just making me aware. I've seen him. He can partially shift aside from that. I think there's something going on in his mouth when he partially changes, that there's some teeth that are coming in or showing that weren't there before. And I've actually seen that there's some scales that come up on his, what's that? That's the left shoulder blade that I've seen when he's really enraged. Okay. So, so he can do more than just changing his eyes. And I know that you've never seen him fully change his eyes. I literally have seen change his eyes, and I think you did this too, but literally slits. Okay. We're talking reptilian slits. And I want to get back to what they've been doing to your eye. See, he's not really doing, the reptilians are coming in and doing this to your eye. Okay. Maybe at his demand, I don't know. But when I look at your eye, and when he was messing with your eye, I see reptilian. I see a slit. Okay. I see him doing something. And let's talk about what I got out of there, right? Let's go back to, because I didn't notice. And then you can tell me what you told me what happened back in California. When I initially started clearing your eye out, when you finally told me that this is really bad, I had this white stuff come out. And I'm like, what is this white stuff? And I want to tell your audience, when I clear magical stuff, dark magic, it's usually dark in color. It's usually black or gooey or dark, right? This was like white stuff. And it wasn't fluffy, but it was white stuff. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? And I remember telling you, and you said, oh my gosh. And you want to tell everybody what?
Yes. When I was dating him, you know how people get these fat, like little follicles under the eyes? He used to get them, but they were unusually big. And they were always around here, around his eyes. And because I had no clue there was such a thing as a half reptilian, and because I'm a nurturing person, I got a needle and one day for an hour and a half removed them all for him. I put a little prick to open the skin, and I was wearing gloves, and I squeezed them out. But now it totally connects, and he knows that I did that. I constantly removed it for him. But that was the reptilian. Ugh! I change the past.
I,
But
I
I guess I can add that to my claim to fame. I remove reptilian fatty eyes from my video. I mean, what do I say? You know, I'm totally getting the cringe effect every time I think of it. But I did because I didn't know what I was dealing with. So when Mel told me what she was removing from my eyes, and by the way, Mel, somebody watching this may think you're physically removing fat from my eyes or whatever. It's how they show it to her in the spiritual realm, right, Mel?
Correct, correct. It's all energetic. And like I said before, when I work with energy, if I don't get visuals, I don't know what I'm doing, right? So my spirit team gives me these visuals to so that I understand what it is that I'm removing most of the time, and how this is connected. Because if I work with your eye and I don't see what's coming out, I can't connect the dots, right? I can't go to the next thing. Okay, there were also devices in there. It's almost like a microphone was in there, and he stuffed it in between the white stuff, and it was really weird. When I asked my spirit team about the white stuff, the answer they gave me was filler. Now, why would he put filler in there? Okay, filler, that's white. But then, it really looked like you described it. It just and it wasn't anything that was dark, because it didn't have the dark color. So I was really stumped at this, right? I was really stumped. I was like, what is that? That was a new one. So you see how he gets really he has new ideas. And I really have to give it to him. But in any event, he it had to do with reptilian, because I sense the reptilian energy, and I see the reptilian slit. Okay, I see beyond the veil. I can see the intention. That's what happens to me, is I see through what's there. So I would probably, if I saw a reptilian on the street, I would probably know it's a reptilian, because something would tip me off. Okay. So far, where I live, I haven't come across anybody, but I'll let you know if I do.
And
But yeah.
well, Mel cleared it, and guys, I can't tell you how, but it does. It does affect me. My eyes were bothering me, and then I had a doctor's appointment, and he goes, "Why is your eye red?" And I said, "I don't know. My eye's been bothering me for the last day. I feel like I have something in my lid, but I see nothing." So I mentioned it to Mel, and sure enough, she goes in, she finds what it is, she removes it. My eye is better for like a half an hour, then boom, back again. So when Mel went back the second time, she found out buried beneath this white stuff was a dark rooted thing that he may have had in my eyes for many years, because she had difficulty removing it. And you can expand on that if you
Yes.
want to.
Yes. It was really strange. You see, this is what I mean by my spirit team will guide me to find these things whenever we're ready to discover them. Okay, was not made aware of this before, and there's a reason for that. Just like I wasn't made aware of Dutchman being a part of your story when I was working with, Sandra, right? Yeah, it's because they wanted me to focus and take care of certain things at a time. So it's almost as if I'm being blocked from noticing this. Now clearly we could not have kept it any longer hidden, because you started having issues and you never did. And what happened was, when I went in to grab it, and I had to go in twice, and found these cords, the best way I can describe it, these hoses, these cords, and they were black. Again, that's how I know it's dark magic. Okay, now again, you have to have an open mind. Clearly you don't have dark hoses in your eyelid, but this is how it is presented to me when I pull it out, and it was lodged in there so strong and so deep and so hard that my spirit team said, okay, you're gonna have to pull hard. Okay, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And when I hear that, I know that this is not something that someone put in just yesterday or a couple days ago or a week ago. When I pull things like that are really, really hard, these things have been in place and have literally been in the body and hooked into the body for quite some time. So I don't know when this was put in there, but it must have been there. It took me a bit, and it took me physical strength. If you can imagine, normally I do energy work and I just do, and sometimes I have to push harder or whatnot. But this, I literally, if you could have seen me, I was pulling like really, really hard, physically pulling as if I was literally trying to get something to dislodge. And I did. I had to dislodge it from in there. So that tells me it's been in there for a while. Now, what it was for exactly, I don't know, but it certainly wasn't supposed to be there. Okay, it does not. And ever since then, he's been crazy about putting stuff back. Okay, I noticed his reaction when I removed it. As a matter of fact, the reaction that I felt coming from him by removing his doing was unusually strong. And when I feel him unusually strong, upset, in a sense, that's what I mean, then I know that whatever I took out must have really been something big for him, because otherwise he wouldn't be giving me this reaction. So, I've said this before, he gives himself away. Because he can't help himself. He can't help himself. And also, and I want to sort of just describe this. He is directly connected to his magic. Okay, this is what makes him different than maybe the average witch that you see and casts a spell and then you never hear from again, right? They're not connected that way, right? I mean, I don't know much about witchcraft, and I know some of them are, depending on what you do, but he is connected to everything he does. And so if somebody's messing with his magic,
You
he knows.
know,
He knows. And it's not just you. It doesn't matter who it is. Okay? He's connected to his magic and he can sense it. He knows it. So, and that is why he knows when I remove something. And again, this is part of the thing we're working on, is we're literally tying up loose ends, and we got some really cool information right this morning. Do you want to share that with everybody that you heard? And then I even told you what happened this morning that was different from every other day. So it's
yeah.
we right, we love it when we get both the same kind of pieces of information that match or that are in alignment with what we're doing. So yeah, that today was a special day.
I woke up this morning. It was one of the first mornings I didn't wake up with any pain, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? Turned out Mel woke up unusually early today and started working like an hour and a half on my body, removing things from every which way. And the desperate Dutchman tried to tattoo the sign that Mel removed off of my body. She went in there and discovered that he was trying to tattoo a Freemason symbol on some part of my body, remember?
That
Anyway,
wasn't today, but yes, no, he did. Yeah.
so she cleared everything. She cleared a lot of things. And after I share this, if she wants to, she can tell you. But she was working on my body between 5:30.
No, it actually was after 6. It was after
Okay.
6, but you got
Okay.
up later too. Yes,
So
yes.
she was working on my body after 6, and I woke up at 3:13. I was woken up, and I smelled a reptilian in my bedroom, and I sprayed because it stinks, and I told it to get the hell out of my room. I went back to sleep, and I woke up about maybe 6:45. And when you're first, like, I was just waking up, I was not quite awake. This is all I heard. Just like I heard the voice that told me that his name is Raul, I heard that same voice said to me, this is all I heard, man falling. And I got a visual of a man in a fetal position slowly descending. Now you can think what you want to think. I have a pretty good idea of what I was being told. And Mel, we are out of time, but I'm going to hand this over to you because if there's anything else you want to share, and then we'll wrap up. If you want to elaborate on what I just said or add to what you did, please go ahead.
Okay, well, it is just, I'm just going to quickly explain that this morning what I did, it wasn't just removing. It was, I noticed it was a different thing that I did. It had to do with calling upon the high realms to sort of, take care of the issue. Okay. And that's what I do is I don't just do energy work, but I work with the archangels and other high realm beings from the high realms and source, and they work through me. And the way in which I worked this morning on your physical vessel, and then what I did, I invoked things by channeling this information that is coming through me, right? I knew something was up. Okay. I knew something was different. And I thought, well, I'll be interested to hear, what Jennylyn says after this. I really didn't know. And sure enough, I mean, I am not surprised, because what I did this morning, the first thing I did was went to him. I don't normally do that. I was asked to go to him. And when I mean go to him, I mean energetically. And it was the divine through me invoking something that binds him, okay, more. And he's been bound before, and he knows that, but he's been bound before, but he cannot shake this one off. Okay. And here's another thing. I'm actually, my spirit team's kind of chiming in right now. They're like, tell them. I don't know if he knows this, but I'm about to tell him. I would assume that he doesn't. Okay, so I'm sorry. I didn't know this either. Again, I'm not a witch. I'm not a magi per se. All right, but throughout this journey with you, I was made aware there is such a place called the Council of Magi. Okay. I did not realize there is such a thing until one day, again, I was channeling. This is what I do, is I channel, outside from energy work, I channel the divine through me, and they invoke certain things. Okay. And I remember that I was petitioning several times the Council of Magi to remove and revoke his rights. Okay. And I was like, okay, I'll let it go. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who these Council of Magi are, but I guess, we're appealing to some higher form of, authority that he falls under as someone who practices or has been part of or is part of the lineage. Maybe it was given to him through lineage. I do not know. Okay. But, I'm being told he doesn't know about it. He has no idea this exists. Well, you know this. I didn't know either, but then again, I'm not a magi, right? So, I mean, so anyhow, but I was petitioning to this, and so what happened was, and this just happened a couple days ago, actually, and again, I was made aware this morning, is that the Council of Magi has sided with us, with the light, and has taken his rights, has revoked his rights, which is why he cannot do anything in the way that he used to. Okay. Which is why, and this is a higher authority. This is ethereal. This is magical. Okay. This is something that I don't know what they do, but they did something, and they said, listen, we can't have someone who is not of integrity, who's been stepping out of the line, within our midst. Now, I will tell you this, the Magi are not, happy-go-lucky. They do some dark stuff. That's not the point. But he has violated rules, okay, amongst them, which, again, when I was channeling the information, I was told that he's done so. So I've been petitioning them without even knowing. This is the kind of stuff that I've been doing in your case. And I honestly, this is probably one of the most fascinating journeys that I've had, because the stuff that I learned throughout this, you can't learn anywhere else. and I know that I do a lot of stuff, but now that he's being made aware, the Council of Magi has revoked your rights, Dutchman. And I'm told you cannot get him back. Not in this lifetime, at least. Or maybe not other existences. I don't know. But yes, that's what I'm being told. So, hey, I don't know why they want me to say this, but maybe he needs to hear this today. Okay. For me, it doesn't really matter. I don't care how we do this. Okay, as long as it is done in a way that it sticks, right? And I said this before, there's due process. I'm not familiar with this due process to take down a magi, okay, an ancient lineage. I don't know how to do that. I don't, other than being guided as to the different things that need to happen in order to do that. So there you go. That's what I'm going to share. Oh boy, something.
Anyway, before we wrap, I just want to put this in a capsule in case anybody gets lost along the way. What Mel and I have both learned, at least I have learned, maybe Mel already knew, is that there's an order to the light and there's an order to the dark. They have rules just like the light has rules. And every human, if they live in the light, they are aware of the rules of the light. And if you practice in the dark, you are aware that you cannot violate certain rules. So you could have the balance of the dark and the light, the yin and the yang, whatever you call it, the positive and the negative. But when someone like Sandra Tong, because both Sandra Tong and Arjen Bouwman have violated those laws, and this is why they've both been stripped. And Sandra clearly has not learned because her scavengers are still bothering me here. I can't even put my trash outside of my house because they're going through my trash trying to find personal items of mine to do dirty stuff for her. And I did ask Mel that when they eventually took the Dutch man down, if he could do what Sandra Tong is doing and get other people to do work for him to hurt me or anyone else. And I don't think we have the answer to that as yet.
No, I'm actually being sort of told, well, we will tackle the issue then. It's one of those things, again, that they don't want to get into or me even worry about until that happens. And yes, I can tell you this, though. I asked for myself, is this going to be an option for both of them, perpetually? Are they going to be able to? And they told me no. So there's something that is connected that can be done about it. And but the great thing is, Jennylyn, is that like you say, it's her scavengers, as you call them, who have to do it. The magic does not come, or not even magic. The rituals, she can do rituals all she wants. She doesn't do them. They don't work. Okay, she has to have her people do it. So what happened to Sandra? What happened to her power? It's no longer there, or at least not, we haven't felt it, because it's always the others. You see, this is the purpose. Okay, let's take down, if you take down from the top, right? You go from the top down. So you have to go and completely eliminate the top. And then, you get to the rest. But I'm being told that we will get to this, just like we have everything else, when the time is right. So, and I trust the process, just like I have been throughout these past few months, in getting us where we are now. So, and for right now, we're just going to have to deal with it, just like we have with other things, and hope that this is sooner rather than later, right? That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah.
So I want to end tonight by saying, for all of you that continue to ask me why it's taken so long, because like Mel said, due process. The light can come in and stop this today if it was a willy-nilly situation, but they can't. They're light and dark laws, and they have to operate within those parameters. They cannot violate them. And this is why Mel is allowed to do certain things on her own, and she's given guidance, or like go here, go there, but they do not intervene, at least not yet. They only intervene when they can without violating the spiritual laws.
Correct.
But both Arjen and Sandra Tongue have violated them because they're so arrogant and so used to running other people's lives by practicing darkness in the dark. And so today, I'd like to thank you all so much for staying up with this story. It's not fake, it's true. And I'm not here to drum that into anyone's head, but you need to open your eyes. Remove the cognitive dissonance. There is a spiritual world in existence with this physical world that we're living in, and there's a reason why what is going on in it is hidden from us. And we are living in a time of disclosure. Keep your eyes open. A lot of stuff is coming down the pipeline. And hopefully, if you're watching this show, it will prepare you for what you are going to see. Thank you so much for continuing to watch us. And man falling! See you next week, you Mel.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye. See you next week. Thank you. All right.